Hi guys, Sandy here. Today I want to talk to you about one of the pandemic's biggest legacies, remote work. When people were first told they were going to start working from home, opinions were divided. Some people jumped at the opportunity because it's something they've been wanting to do for a while now. Others couldn't possibly imagine how they were going to make it work, particularly with having to homeschool the kids at the same time. Well over a year has passed since that first impact, and now that things are gradually going back to normal, the vast majority of workers agree that they do not want to go back to the way things were before. The dreadful commute, the cubicle at the office, none of that makes sense to them anymore, particularly when they already know they can do just as good of a job, if not better, if they have more flexible working arrangements. Not being able to work remotely is actually one of the main reasons why the Great Resignation is still raging. In fact, 1 in 3 workers would quit their jobs if they could no longer work remotely after the pandemic. And there's nothing companies can do other than just adjust to it. Ladders predicts that 25% of all professional jobs in North America will be remote by the end of next year. And as someone who has either been working remotely or hybridly for the last decade, I couldn't agree more. In fact, I could never understand why each time I explained to people that I worked from home, they would all look at me in horror and answer, "Oh no, I could never do that. I would never get anything done." Well, guess they all came around after all, didn't they? And that's what this video is all about, remote work, what it will look like in the future. Now, the advantages for remote work are clear. For workers, it means more flexibility, more comfort, and a better work-life balance. For companies, it means saving money on utilities and being able to hire people from everywhere in the world at a cheaper rate. Also, 84% of employees shared that working remotely after the pandemic would make them happier, with some even willing to take a pay cut. And 90% of employers say they were as productive or more working remotely when compared to the office. Now, another major advantage people may not think of at first is being able to work remotely means being able to work from anywhere, right? This will allow people to relocate to smaller places and escape to big cities, which in turn means that these smaller towns will have a chance to grow and progress while people enjoy a better quality of life. On the other hand, working from home can often mean workers feel less included or even lonely without the social interaction offices provide. It can also mean that they have a harder time communicating with their co-workers, particularly if they're working in different time zones. And most importantly, working from home can make it that much harder to disconnect from work once the work hours are done. If people aren't disciplined, they can find themselves working overtime and feeling like they're living at the office instead of working from home. Now, another worrying trend we've been seeing is the increase in bossware, solutions created to offer maximum micromanaging to bosses and managers over the work that's being done remotely, granting them complete access to your laptop and your activities. Now, let me tell you the major pros and cons of working remotely, even if mostly from home, for me, after all these years. And I have to say that the biggest thing for me is escaping the commute. I save time, I save gas. Can I get a yay for the carbon footprint decrease? Yay! No more stress, anxiety, or rushing. Also, there's the flexibility. Now, I get that this isn't the same for everyone because being my own boss means creating my own schedules. But unless you're taking meetings from morning to afternoon, I'm guessing you will be able to relate. I don't wake up with the alarm clock anymore. I can schedule lunch dates with friends and family or anything I want to do, really. I get to work at night, which I love because I have always been a bit of an owl, not very productive in the mornings at all. Overall, it allows me to work at my own pace. If I'm struggling to work, I can just stop and go do something else and try again later. If I'm feeling extremely productive, I'll keep at it until I've completed all the tasks. I get total control over my workday, and that is priceless, quite honestly. Another thing I find is a great benefit from working from home or remote work is the quietness. I'm just so much more productive that way. No noise surrounding me, no distractions other than my pets occasionally asking for attention. Okay, that's actually a major distraction, but it's not like they do it all day long, so it kind of works. At the office, there's just so much you end up doing other than the actual work, and working remotely takes all of that away. I also love the comfort, being able to work in my yoga pants, no makeup, no uncomfortable shoes. It's casual Friday all day, every day, and I love it. And of course, there's the little detail of being able to work from pretty much anywhere in the world. Meaning I can relocate, I can travel, I can work at the beach, at the coffee shop, whatever I'm feeling like doing. As long as there's a good internet service, I'm good. Now, of course, there are disadvantages as well, like the fact that it is isolating and you do miss the office culture, when it's a good one, of course. And spending time with the coworkers or going for drinks after work, I missed all of that. And if you're an introvert like me, it makes it that much harder to meet new people and make friends, of course. or how hard it can be to stop working when the time is up and your personal and professional life end up getting blurred. That is particularly tricky when you own your own business with your partner, and if you're not careful, work is all you will talk about. But I guess the biggest disadvantage is how if you're not careful, you can lose all structure in your life. There is no routine to follow. Nothing is set in stone. If you're not organized and if you don't make an effort to create routines that actually work for you, you can get a bit overwhelmed by how loose things are, Does that make sense? But overall, I have to say the pros largely outweigh the cons, and I can't imagine going back to doing the 9 to 5 at the office anymore. And if you agree, I have good news. According to FlexJobs, fully remote work has scaled up significantly over the last 3 years. And as we look ahead, the expected growth rate of full-time remote work over the next 5 years has more than doubled from 30% to 65%, which could give job seekers plenty of opportunities to work remotely. Not only that, but the job offers are also getting better. Job listings themselves are reflecting more variety in titles and career levels, further signaling that companies are committed to hiring remote workers for the long term. FlexJobs has also released a list with the top 30 companies with the most work from anywhere in the world job offers. More and more companies are going from working from home to working from anywhere, independently of time zones. This means workers are no longer chained to a desk at home from 9 to 5 local time. And the changes that need to be done to make that happen are actually smaller than you might think. First, you need to rethink meetings, namely scheduling less of them. Teams need to establish which virtual meetings require everyone's presence and which can be recorded and shared afterwards. If it's not a brainstorming session, if it's a presentation rather than a collaboration, or if it's not urgent, then just don't do it. Anyone who won't be participating in a meeting doesn't need to be there and can be briefed or watch the recording later, right? Next, teams need to establish productivity goals instead of time-based goals. Now, this is a big one, and I realize how controversial this is, but if a worker fulfills all their goals and then some while working less hours than you would think necessary, why would that be a bad thing? If the work is done correctly and things are moving along nicely, why should employers try to control what workers do with their time? Clear tasks, deliverables, and goals is the way to go. Also, and I guess this is something that's important in whatever team really, but much more so when you're talking about remote collaborations, coworkers need to be mindful of their communication. I'm talking about finding strategies to assure that the information, the feedback, the tasks, anything that needs to be transmitted to each other is done in the most clear, noise-free, direct way, to avoid misunderstandings and avoidable time wastes. When you think about it, it doesn't really sound that hard to achieve, does it? So, are you ready for the next generation of flexible work? Is it something you'd like to see happen? Leave me a comment below letting me know your opinion about this. I would love to start a conversation about it. Also, before you go, I think you will like this video about the 4-day work week and how companies around the world are giving it a try with surprising results. That is it for me today, and I will see you over there. Bye bye! No longer work remotely, work from